When I first set this up, it looked like it was set for 10 p.m. So I guess what's happening between the beta and YouTube's beta and the classic, there was a little bit of a glitch there, but we got it. It is 10 a.m. and this is our premiere show of all things ecom with Jess Hill. When I first started up YouTube, I wanted to have the ability to do a channel that also could give information out there for people that wanted to do online commerce. So that's why we started the channel. So we're gonna probably wait a minute or two to get some people in here because of the notifications and stuff like that. But we're having I had a little bit of issues this morning. That if we have a little bit of issues, that you lose us because we had some thunder and lightning here in Pennsylvania. But don't fret. Jess will be here and she'll carry the show. You guys see we're using StreamYard and we have a logo up there. They're giving us about a week to use the logo, and we said, "Oh, what the heck? We'll try it out," So we're just trying to get things set up here. But let's we'll have Jess come in, and I'm sure about 10 minutes in, and let her introduce herself, and then sure about 10. I think the problem is the notifications are a little messed up, so that's why we're not seeing anybody. Oh, hello, Lady Luck Junk. How are you? Good morning. So I'm going to bring Jess into the room and have her introduce herself, and we'll start from there. So just trying to warm up the room here. So hey, good morning, Jess.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. It is 9 o'clock here in the Central Time.
Yeah, 10 o'clock here. I think we're getting a little bit because of the notifications. When I had first started, it even said, no, it says 10 p.m. Are you sure you want to start at 10 a.m.? So sorry about that.
That's okay. We're good. We're here.
Right. So we got Jess Hill here. We got a couple people now starting to roll in. I'm Patdees, and this is my channel, Patdees 72. I sell on eBay. I started selling on Amazon in January. I do Instacart grocery delivery, and I'm actually a property manager. So I do a bunch of things. Hey, Chris, good morning. If anyone has watched our Thursday night live show, I found Jess Hill on Instagram a couple months ago, and we first had her on the show back a couple months ago talking about internet commerce and Amazon and stuff like that. And I had reached out to her. I wanted to interview her again. With our schedules, what we're doing on our Thursday night live show, we bring a variety of guests, but we rotate that channel between myself, Kimberly Borderline Hoarder, and Destiny the Shamrock Pixie. And I didn't want to have to wait another 3 more months to bring Jess Hill on because we are approaching the 4th quarter. And I thought, let's get her to come on. And she has a lot of great information, and she has, most importantly, she has a lot of experience doing this. So what we're going to do is weekly, and the plan is on Wednesdays. Now, if something happens because of vacations and stuff like that, we will change that, but you'll know a week ahead. But every week we want to provide a 60-minute show that puts out good information on how to get started, what to do, sourcing and stuff like that. So I'll have Jess introduce herself and tell what she does.
So I'm Jess Hill. I'm founder of Ladies of FBA. So I wanted to give a thank you to Pat for finding me on Instagram. I've been growing. I'm a Facebooker. So we have Ladies of FBA, Facebook, and then we have all the other platforms we're adding. So I have been on e-commerce myself since 2003, but then with my mom since 1999. So my mom had an eBay account. We would go to all these auctions. We would find vintage items, mostly depression glass items. And so I helped her write those descriptions. And then when I graduated from college in 2003, I opened my own eBay store. And that was just a hobby. I worked in corporate through 2016. So fast forward to 15, I was introduced to Amazon FBA. I was introduced in October. So I was flipping Halloween costumes. And, that's Q4. So I kind of got the sweet spot because every single thing in my store sold. And I was like, oh, okay. So in 2016, I took the plunge in March and went full-time Amazon FBA. So I've sold over 1.4 million since then, over 500,000 just in 2019. And I'm also a coach and a mentor. I do some classes and stuff. So, so in 2017, I established Ladies of FBA Facebook group to help women in e-commerce build their e-commerce businesses. So I've been on eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, and Mercari. I have experience with Etsy, Amazon Merch, and other platforms like Bonanza and stuff. But those are my main 4 platforms. So that's kind of the overall of who I am. And I sell via retail arbitrage. So retail arbitrage is my main business model. And then I also have online arbitrage, and I have about 4 SKUs that are wholesale SKUs. So I did some wholesale in 16 and 17, and then I was like, okay, you learn from your experiences. And so in the past couple of years, I've been really focusing on RA and OA. So that's like the overview of who I am. So I'm happy to take questions on all of that. So I think we do have a schedule, though, of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't be afraid to volunteer anything if we have a question or something comes up. And let me feature. We got Ocean Wave 603 eBay E. It says, "Hi, Jess."
Hi.
Let me real quick here. We got Lady Luck Junk in the room. We got Stocks Unhinged, Chris the Goose, 10 of Hearts Beth, and Serena. And that those are the people that are commenting. There's actually more in the room than that, but those, again, don't be afraid to ask any questions, and I will highlight that. And I'm sure Jess is a wealth of knowledge, and she I enjoy being a entrepreneur myself and having owned a business and employed over 800 people. I've done this, interviews and stuff like that, and I watch CNBC, so I enjoyed the business aspect. And this is on a entrepreneur level that she's doing this. You do this out of your house, right, Jess?
Right. So currently, so 2 things. So I did it out of my house, and this year, starting in March, I really did a push to get things outsourced. So I do have 2 shoppers, and I have a prep assistant. I've had the prep assistant for 3 years, but I've kind of pushed. The only thing that's in my house right now is my merchant fulfilled stuff. So I'm selling a lot of back to school bundles, right? So between the back to school bundles and then I have some beauty items. Everything else is out of my house, though. So I have 2. I have 1 shopper in Pennsylvania. I have 1 shopper about 45 minutes from me. And then I have a prep assistant where if I shop, I give all of the items, all of the inventory to her. And she's my best friend. She lives 20 minutes away. So yes and no, right? So this used to be my warehouse, and now it's only for merchant fulfilled items. So I've took that initiative so I could get that done. I wanted everything outsourced that I could by May 31st for summer. So that was my goal this year, and so far so good.
Now, how much stuff are you merchant fulfilled, like percentage wise?
Oh, less than 5%, right?
Oh, okay.
95% of a business model is FBA. Yep.
Now, what is making you decide to still do merch fulfill? Are there items that you're gated in that you can't sell?
No. So it would be items that I don't want Amazon to break. So I have like some beauty items, some beauty palettes, some beauty eyeshadows, and like blushes and stuff. And if I send them FBA, they tend to get broken, no matter how good I package them. And then right now, back to school bundles are flying off the shelves. So I've already sent in, backpacks and lunchboxes galore, and underwear and socks and everything like that. But I was just getting a few more sales of the bundles because I can literally go to Walmart and pick up certain items and sell them within a couple hours. So that's just that back to school push.
Now, when you're talking about stuff, bundles and back to school, I don't know how much detail you want to expand on that, what the items are you're selling.
Right.
I mean, when I think back to school, I think notebooks and pencils.
Right.
Am I thinking right? And
Yep. So I'm not going to tell you the ASIN, but there are plenty of ASINs for bundles that I've made and other people have made. Or you can go and make your own bundle, and really it's just about getting the right keywords. So I have 4 kids. So I know what they need in their backpack because there are lists on our school website or even at Walmart that you pick up that says first grade, second grade, third grade. And basically you take that list and you make a bundle with it, and someone else somewhere else is not wanting to go, or maybe they don't have access to, get the school supplies, or they just want the convenience factor of Amazon, being able to just say purchase. And so that's how I build my bundles, is just taking those lists from my kids' school, making a bundle, making sure it's keyword rich. Everything is listed. You have all the brands listed that's in your bundle, and then selling it.
now let's go back a couple of years ago when you first started doing Amazon. You started with Halloween costumes?
Yes. So it was October of 15, and my friend was like, oh, you I've done all kinds of weird things, right? I used to be a ticket scalper, broker is what they call it, broker. I would buy, Cardinals and Taylor Swift and Justin Timberlake. And he's like, oh, wow, you're a real hustler. I would coupon. So I couponed for 4 years, really, really a lot for 2 years after my son was born. And we ended up paying over $30,000 off in debt couponing. I would coupon for our family, and then I would coupon and sell the coupon items on Facebook Marketplace. So anyway, he was like, oh, you're a real hustler. You should try Amazon FBA. My friend is doing it. He's making over $40,000 profit a year. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a good amount of money. And so I had already opened an account in 2013 and only sold one thing of Zantac. So then I was like, well, I already have an account. I'll just see how you send it to Amazon, because I had only sold one thing via Merchant Fulfilled, and I thought, man, the Amazon platform is really confusing compared to eBay. I'll just stick with eBay, and that was in 13. So in 15, I was like, okay, I'll go to Target and get some Halloween costumes. I used the app. I found some profit. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough for me to say, okay, I'll buy these costumes. And then after Halloween ended, I went and bought all the clearance costumes. So all of the princesses and stuff, they all sold by Christmas, because even though it's not Halloween, people still buy Halloween costumes or costumes for birthday and Christmas presents. So I was like, wow, this is really working. So I was like, let's keep going.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think that because once Halloween's over, that you'd still have that opportunity. How long did it take you initially to sell? And give us a little idea of what was this something that you went and bought $300 worth of costumes, and sort of like your best? What was the best thing that surprised you that you sold, and also what was I guess a bad buy?
Okay, so yeah, I think I just bought like 4 or 5 costumes to start off. I just wanted to fill a box, right? And because I never sent it to the Amazon warehouses, so I think it was under $100 that I had purchased that first couple times. And then in 2016, when I did go full time, I was trying all kinds of things, right? So I was trying everything from Walmart, Target, to Macy's, to Kohl's. Kohl's I had been shopping for a really long time, so I already knew their sales. But then I did buy some palettes. Those 2 palettes were not good. I probably broke even, maybe took a loss. So I think, because I did not hire a mentor right off the bat, I think you just kind of have to go through the ropes and learn things. So, but then I did a lot of books. I've done a lot of DVDs. I've done a lot of video games, because I had an older account. So all of that was open to me because I was grandfathered in. So I did a lot of book sales. We had a couple different book sales. I live near St. Louis. And so I would just go to book sales, and then I learned the art of negotiation. If I was buying over $300, maybe $500, ask for 20% off. They'll probably give you 15. Ask if at one time I think it was like $700 worth of books, and I was like 7.5 months pregnant. So they helped me carry it to my car because books are really heavy. All of those things. So I've sold, I literally sell anything that makes me money. I have no emotional attachment to I don't have cats, but I will definitely sell cat stuff. I have a gluten-free diet, so I definitely try to find things that are gluten-free when I'm in the grocery aisle, those kinds of things. So I've really done almost everything, I would say, right?
Now, when you first started out, your first month, how much you sold those couple costumes, and how much did you do? Do you remember?
Oh, I do not remember what I sold I could probably go back in time and see, but it wasn't a lot, right?
Right. And
Maybe,
and that's the point I'm trying to lead you into, is where you're at right now.
for
Um, I know you share your information on Instagram. I mean, here we are. We're basically at the end of July now. Let's talk fast forward, and let's talk about how you basically sold a couple $100 worth of
right.
costumes. What, couple years ago, three and a half years ago?
It would be almost, yeah, 3.5 years ago. So
Right.
probably, I think maybe in Q4 of 15, I did maybe $2,000 worth of of product. So it wasn't a big amount.
Right.
But then in 16, I did $184,000 total for the year.
For the
And
year.
then 17, I did 253, and then 18, I did 513, and then this year, I hope to do $1 million. So
Right.
that's my progression.
Right. I mean, and I mean, this past month alone, I think you mentioned before, a couple months ago when you were on this show, you had a month where you did, correct me if I'm wrong, was around 62,000 or something like that.
So my highest month ever was March of this year before Meltables went away. And that was 120. Let me get it right.
Wow.
Okay, $112,737.72, March of 2019. That was my biggest month ever. So I was doing 80s in December, but then I had some really great meltable stuff, and I also had some beauty stuff in March of this year, and so that was my biggest month ever. But that's only the beginning. So I'm averaging between 60 and 70,000 in sales per month.
Right. I mean, that's amazing to think that 3 years ago you went basically from a couple $100 to doing 60, 70,000 a month, where a lot of retail businesses don't even do that.
Right.
And that's amazing. Now, when you talk about those numbers, are you strictly right now talking about Amazon sales? Or are you taking everything together?
So that's just Amazon, right?
Right.
So eBay and Mercari are where all my returns go. Or if I get samples, like sometimes I'll buy beauty items and then via like maybe OA or something, and then I'll put like the samples. Like they'll give you freebies and stuff like that from like Macy's and stuff. So that's where those kind of items will go as well.
Okay. Now, if someone had to start out right now, what would you like? They had a budget of $1,000.
Sure.
What would you recommend as far as starting on eBay, starting on Amazon, blending both?
So, I mean, there's definitely different techniques, and then it also has to do with where you are geographically, right? So if you're in a metropolitan area, you could definitely go right into grocery if you're brand new, because grocery and books, because there's a lot of gating, right? So there's a lot of different factors. So if you're brand new, you just opened an account, you have $1,000, I would say focus on grocery because it's very fast flip. It might be a lower return on investment, but you want to build that capital. And books, right? Everybody can sell books. You can manifest books out of your house. You can talk to your family, your friends, because you're going to sell them used, right? So if you have low budget, even less than 1,000, maybe even less than 100, then I would say go on different sites like Craigslist and OfferUp and Facebook and find free books. And then, or books really, really cheap, right? Maybe less than $1. So if you start with grocery and books, and then as your account ages and you get some really good metrics, then, the ungating starts around 6 months. You're always asking for auto approvals, those kinds of things. Then you can start branching out to a slower moving, but higher return on investment. So toys for sure, especially as we walk into Q4. And then as you grow your capital, then I would say moving into clothing, because there's a lot of return on investment in clothing, but it does take a little bit longer. And then household and anything that you might have a connection with, right? Maybe you have a connection, maybe you have a friend that works in the auto industry and you want to go get automotive. So those are all kind of as your account evolves. So, and of course, I would always do, you know, eBay and Amazon at the same time, because you can manifest money on eBay from maybe some used items. Maybe you have clothing in your house that you're looking to get rid of, that kind of stuff. You want to build your capital that way. And then, of course, having a good eBay account will always be a good idea for when you get those returns that have been opened from Amazon, so you have a platform to sell them on. Now, of course, I would also recommend Mercari, learning it. It's really good for beauty and clothing and shoes. Poshmark is very similar. Each platform is like taking a college course, though. Like, you know, you have to learn it. You have to learn the rules. All of the platforms, I encourage everyone to read the terms of service. Amazon has the Seller University videos. I always encourage everyone to watch the Seller University videos. You know, because that's going to give you the ins and outs. And prepping, right? Because prepping is a big deal. You need to be prepping your items correctly. And then, you know, the other thing I would encourage you to do, because we are just at August, is in Q4, there's an opportunity to merchant fulfilled toys. So we get to a point like December 15th where it's not going to get, I mean, probably even December 5th. It's not going to go live in time if you send it to FBA. So then only if you've met their metrics for merchant fulfilled can you send those toys from your house or warehouse, right? So I always encourage everyone, when you're starting off, find a few very low ranked SKUs and start merchant fulfilling, so you can, because I think that you have to merchant fulfill, at least last year, the requirement was a minimum of 25 items before a certain date, which is like October-ish. So because, I mean, it sounds like more work, right? Especially when you're looking at something to streamline, which is FBA. But I can tell you from experience that I can walk into a retail store on December 11th, my birthday, and I can literally list things from my phone, and I can literally sell them within hours and ship them the next day. So that's why people are like, oh, I got that email, I don't need to merchant fulfill. But last year, that was a big part of my Q4. It sounds like a lot of work. Call a friend, a neighbor, a high school student, have them come pack orders for you. But those are like the top tips, like if you were just starting today.
Now, what as far as Christmas, what does it seem to be? Are you selling stuff right up to like the 24th?
Wow, so I think it's like the 20th, 21st, and then I stop working. Right, I'm on mode. Of course, things are still selling FBA, but I can't merchant fulfill anything on time after the 21st unless they literally live down the street, right? Because I don't want my stuff to get, you know, stuck in the post office and then have angry customers. So I think everything for me, right? Everybody's a little bit different. Lead times are different. Your location to a warehouse is going to be different than me, right? But the 20th, 21st is really when I shut down all my merchant fulfilled, and I just let the rest of my account just coast for, you know, all my FBA stuff. People will still order, right? They're still going to holiday parties after Christmas, and then everybody's getting their gift cards. So January is almost like it's part of Q4. I still did a really, really great amount this January with everyone's gift cards. So I'm not going to stop sending inventory, but I'm going to shut down my merchant fulfilled, and then I'm going to spend time with my family. So that's, you know, really now you're really just ramping up your account all the way through December 20th and 21st. And then you take a little bit of break, you pay your taxes, and then you keep going again, right?
The cycle starts all over, right?
The cycle starts all over. Yep, absolutely. The December 26th, you're going to start working again. So.
Right. Now, so we talked about if you started with $1,000, you started with grocery, and then books. Those were the two things you mentioned. What have you found for yourself to be good places for sourcing books? I mean, is it the traditional Goodwill? Is it going to, I just recently came across Ollie's, and I did a retail arbitrage video. And to be honest, I wasn't in there long. I was only probably in there 40 minutes. It was one of those things. I'm going to pop in. I'm going to try to find 4 or 5 items. And I did. And I found 4 or 5 items that even after fees, there was an 80 to 100% profit. Now I had some people, I think Dave is in the room, said, hey, why didn't you buy all those things? I said a budget. I think in the past I've been burnt personally where I've, found something and I said, oh, I bought every one. Where myself, being new to Amazon in January, I have this amount of money. I'm kind of spreading it out over several products, just because I feel like it's easier for me to sell 3 of this, 3 of this, 3 of that. So what would you recommend as far as, not everybody, I mean, I have books at home, I'll be honest, but I don't want to sell them. But yeah, I do see there's a lot of books at the problem is I see at the Goodwill, and it's been a little discouraging lately as far as I'm not scanning a lot of books because they're just so dated. They seem old and not in good shape. So what would you recommend as far as, because books are something easy that someone can scan and find, because even if you can't scan the UPC, I've noticed that with the Amazon Seller app, you can just take a picture of the front and it finds the book.
Right. Okay. So right now it is July 31st. So I want you to go into Facebook and I want you to go to Marketplace and I want you to post an ad for, especially if you're in a metropolitan area, you have any kind of college, whether it's a university, college, and I want you to put an ad for college textbooks, right? So a poor college student that has 10 books, you can get them for $5 a piece and you can flip them for $60, $70, right? So that would be the first place that I want you to go. And then, like you said, I always search the different websites for book sales, right? So book sales in my area. We have a lot of book sales in the spring. And then also, like you said, sourcing from your own house, putting an ad on Nextdoor, if anybody's getting rid of books, putting ads on Facebook, on Craigslist, on OfferUp, on LetGo, all of those free apps. And then, going to all your thrift stores, not just Goodwill. If you have Salvation Army, maybe you have a local thrift store, maybe you have a church sale. I mean, really, it's only limited by your own search, right? So, putting a 2-second, maybe it takes you a minute to put up an ad on Facebook. And then someone's maybe moving sales, right? Or garage sales. People are always getting rid of books. And for me, not like thinking outside the box. So I have 4 kids. So one of the things that I have sold in bundles are like the Diary of the Wimpy Kids books. So, maybe you don't have a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old like me, but like looking at book bundles, because I will definitely buy, a series of 5 of the Wimpy Kids for my kids. So I know that they're going to, if they're on sale on Mercari or eBay or Amazon, I'm going to buy them. I don't mind if they're used because my kids are just going to read them and then we're just going to resell them again. So it's not just a single book. Things in series, you can, if you can get all the books in the series or even just a few books in the series, you can list them. Good morning. You can list them in bundles too. So college textbooks is super hot right now. Everybody's back to school, not just, my kids where they're like K through 8, but also the back to school for the college students. College students need a discount, right? College is really expensive. And sometimes the 6th edition is only like a couple page different than the 7th edition. So they're willing to buy that older book. Like you said, some of them seem dated. But if I'm going to get an older book for half the price than the current edition with 3 or 4 things changed, then I'm going to go buy if I'm a broke college student, I'm going to go buy the $50 book instead of the $150 book. So that's my mentality with books. And when you're thinking like, oh, these look dated, maybe you'll find 1 or 2 books that are not even on Amazon. Like there's no other sellers. It's on Amazon, but there's no sellers. Then you can sell it for $30 and you bought it for $1 at the Goodwill. So don't skip those old books unless they're really, really torn up.
Now, in that example, I've had that actually happen to me a couple times where I found books that aren't on there, or they had previous sales that are pretty good. But what is the process as far as if you had a list of book that's not on there? of setting up without getting too complicated? How complicated is it to list an item like that on Amazon? Or is that something that you basically would go in books? Now we're talking about Amazon. Would you recommend selling more on Amazon than eBay?
I think everybody's different as far as platform, right? If you have a nice, well-rounded eBay account, and it doesn't really matter what platform you're on. It's all about having your keywords correct. Keywords is what's selling our listings, if you didn't know that. So it doesn't matter if you're on eBay and you only have 3 words and your stuff isn't selling, it's because your description isn't robust. So keywords, 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 no matter what the platform. You can learn how to create a new listing very easily. Definitely watch the Seller University videos, and then make sure that you are, going through the steps of creating a new listing. But always search first, because you're not supposed, if there's a listing for something, or if it says you're restricted, you cannot sell it. Do not create a new listing with something different in it. But just go through and create a new listing. You find a very interesting book. Some of the top categories I sell in, besides college textbooks, is religion, financial wellness, like any kind of financial books, and then self-help books, right? Maybe you find a self-help book that's not on Amazon. Well, you can go ahead and put that ISBN number in, and you can list it yourself. Or I think it's EAN number. There's several different, or if it has a UPC.
Yeah. I actually came earlier this year. Now, someone called me up, and I picked up about 1,000 books for free. Nice. They had an antique shop, and they wanted to get rid of them. The only drawback was I had to muscle them out, and it took me about 5 hours, and because they had boxes, and I had to dance around the glass cases and stuff like that. But I want to highlight, we have a question here from Tracy, Uniquely Me. What type of books might be restricted?
So there might be some books that are maybe brand new, new release books that are restricted. And then when you see restricted, you want to look and make sure it's not like a Kindle, not an audio book. But there might just be some books that are by some publishers that are restricted. And I'll tell you that in the Amazon seller app.
Now, another follow-up question by Ben Flipping Hard Goods, Wesley, is just textbooks that may be gated?
No, there can be like novels and other books that are gated.
Right.
I would just, use your seller app, and whether you're using the ISBN, whether you're scanning the UPC, or whether you're taking a picture of the front of that book, you'll see. And usually the reason it says restricted is because it's like an audiobook or Kindle book.
Going back to those 1,000 books. Now, what I did is I probably listed about 300 on eBay. Because one thing I've noticed, with Amazon, when I first started selling books, the mistake I was making was matching the low price. Right. And the problem with that is it doesn't reflect the shipping if you're doing merchant fulfilled. So it would be like, I sold a couple books for like $4, and they went out as the Prime, and I lost money. I lost $2 or $3. And what I did was I had changed that around and started doing looking. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about as far as, yes. If you want to delve into that, what kind of happens there. So what I started really doing was looking at the offers, and then if I had basically a new book matching closer to that, and that made a difference. I had to adjust. I think the first 30 books I sold, I honestly lost about $45, which wasn't the end of the world because it was a learning curve. Right. And now I've sold like those 1,000 books. Those I didn't send none of those into Amazon. The ones that I send into Amazon were places that I found that had new books, but they were having a book sale, and it was like a clearance to get them out. Now the the books that I sell on eBay, I've been selling them for anywhere from $5 to $10, and doing pretty good on that. I'm gonna actually go through the chat here. If you want to, I know you said you got a phone call second, so not a problem. And I'm gonna say hi to everybody in the chat, and I'll bring you right back. All right.
Thanks.
I really appreciate everyone stopping in. Jess Hill being part of the show. We're gonna do this weekly, and that we talk about things all ecom and ways to make money. As you can see already, she has a lot of knowledge. She's already hit $500,000 in sales as far as her Amazon. I'm excited to have her on the show because I'm learning from her, and I think there's a great opportunity for other people. I do appreciate everyone's support, and if you guys could like and subscribe to the page. I see if you guys are following me now, I have the ability. You'll see that there's commercials. I have the ability to get super chats and stuff like that. But let me go through it and just say hi if anyone I missed. And Dave is in the room. Harlan, thank you for stopping in. Glenn is in the room. Dan, hey Dan, how are you doing? Tracy stopped in. Joy, thanks for stopping in. Alan stopped in. Terry Joe, James, good morning. Wesley, thanks for stopping in. Sarah is saying hi to Jess. Jess is great. Yes, Jess is great. So I appreciate it. So I was a little nervous, actually. I think when you're always starting to see, even though I've done YouTube and stuff, when you're always starting something new, it's always, but until you get going talking with the people and stuff like that, it is a little nerve-wracking and stuff like that. But Jess, now, when you started this year, did you sit down and figure out like targets and what you were going to do to accomplish, and also give us an idea of when we all know that fourth quarter is probably the best time, right?
Oh yeah. And meltables. Those are my favorites.
Explain to everybody who wouldn't know what that term means, meltables.
Yeah. Okay. So two things. So I definitely set goals. And I did that when I was in corporate. And I set yearly goals. Right, my yearly goal is 750,000, and I'm gonna crush it, right? And then I set monthly goals, and then I set weekly goals and spend goals. So if you're not on top of your numbers, you can be using like Excel or numbers or Google Sheets. But if you're on Amazon, I would definitely recommend Inventory Lab because they can give you a snapshot right then and there of your profit and loss. And that way you can get on top of those numbers. So you mentioned that you had some books that you had lost money on, but that was a learning experience, right? We all have things that we end up losing money on because we're learning, but making sure that you're staying on top of your numbers. And then maybe, so if I were you and we were coaching maybe, and you were like, okay, I have all these books. Hello. How do I do this? And I would have said merchant fulfill 1 or 2, maybe like a small book and then like a large book. So you can get the feel of the shipping and everything. So staying on top of your numbers. And then meltable season. So meltables are things like chocolate, gummy vitamins, gummy worms, gummy candy, cookies that are meltable. There's some kind of like, I think there's some beauty products that are, you need to look at the melting point. So meltables you cannot send to the Amazon warehouse between May 1st and October 1st. But from October 1st, you're just sending in all the chocolate for Halloween, and you can make some money, especially if you get bundles going and you're the only seller. So meltable season is really great because there's so much you can sell that is meltable and people buy, especially chocolate, right? So that's one of my biggest things is chocolate. But you can't send it to the warehouses because from May 1st to October, September 30th at midnight, because it's going to melt. And that's why they call it meltables, right? And they send you a notification, hey, your meltables are going to be removed. They are automatically removed from the warehouse. They'll be sent back to you. Unless you have them destroyed, that'll be your call. And then, but the great thing is when you can send them to FBA, you can make a lot of money, like a lot. And one of the big ones for me is gummy vitamins. So like there's like different vitamins, like all my kids eat gummy vitamins. So whether it's regular multivitamins, vitamin D, anything, all of those you can find via retail arbitrage at your various drugstores locally or online for super cheap. And then during multiple season, you can make bank. So that's
Jess, you don't have to give exactly what you're buying, but we're going to talk numbers.
sure.
Can you give an example? In other words, if I was to scan a vitamins that, let's say I go to Walgreens and they're $10 and they sell for $15 on Amazon, is that a buyable product?
No. So you're going to make sure that, so when you're in the app, right, the first app that you get is the Amazon seller app. It's free. Then you would, add a product. I don't know, add a product. So I'm just going to put gummy vitamin. So I wanted to mention, you can sell them merchant fulfilled during the summer though, and you can put a cold pack in and ship it to your customer. So even if you get stuff returned to your house, that doesn't mean you can't sell them in the summer. You just can't send them to FBA in the summer. So I then go to, here's another hot tip. Call all your local veterinary offices and ask for their cold packs for free, because cold packs, they can be expensive. And then I just do a wipe down. I actually polybag my cold pack. I stick it with my gummy vitamins. I, bundle it up in a box and I tape really good so no air goes in. So it's kind of like just this little cooler. And then I'll ship it to my customers. So when you're talking numbers, you are scanning out at Walgreens, which I love Walgreens. You're going to put gummy vitamin, or you're going to scan the actual UPC, or put it in via, a picture, whether you're taking a picture of the front of the, and then you'll go in. And so you need to check your fees, right? So right now, since the gummy vitamin cannot be sold via FBA, you're going to be looking at the merchant fulfilled tab, seller fulfilled tab. So let's say I just picked this gummy iron supplement. And so for this one, it sells for $39.95 for a 2-pack. So you get $29.20 back. So basically, you're going to want to learn your app, right? And then you put in your cost of goods. You can actually use the app to be your calculator and put in your cost of goods, cost of purchase. So
now I think I know, what app are you using right now?
The seller app.
The Amazon seller app. Exactly right.
That's your basic app, right? And then other apps are like the third-party apps like Scoutify that comes with Inventory Lab. Maybe you can use Scan Power, Scan Genie. There's a whole bunch of other apps. But when you open your account, you get the seller app. You log in to the Amazon seller app with your login for your Amazon seller account. It's free. So basic, especially when you're on a budget, you don't want to spend a lot of money on apps. And you're just going to put in your cost of goods, and it calculates it for you right in the app. So I would definitely encourage you to learn the app, because that's going to be your biggest tool.
Now, the only thing which doesn't factor in is when you're doing that also is the cost to ship the item in, or the purchase of the box and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think people have to also keep that in mind, because we got a quick question. It's long to
Go ahead.
There's been a discussion in the community about organizational structure and taxes, etc. Jess, would you comment on yours? Are your sourcers 1099, W-2, service providers? Are you an S Corp?
Yes. Okay, so the first thing I will say is I am not a tax professional, liability reasons. I would definitely recommend that you find a great CPA. Okay, with that said, I am an S Corp. My sourcers are 1099. And then the service for the prep is a service fee, right? So I have a blended model. So the first one is my very first assistant, best friend. We pay her hourly. She's 1099. Okay. She only preps what I give her, so she's just a prepper. I buy the supplies. She preps it. She preps it at her house though, so my house is clean. Sort of. So then as for Kimmy and Nikki, Kimmy is over in Pennsylvania. Nikki is about 30-45 minutes from here. They are the service provider because they are doing the prep. So they're charging me for prep, and they're charging me for a commission on what they spend. So we do like 10% of spend. So if I give them $1,000, they keep $100 as their service fee for shopping. and then they will charge me for the prep fee. Does that make sense? It's a lot, right? Because you have to learn this, you have to train someone, you have to give them your thresholds, that kind of stuff. But overall, always consult a CPA for the best method for you. And then you need to definitely look at the rules for a 1099 versus a W-2.
Right.
Yep.
And my self-experience in the past, having employed over 800 people,
right.
The difference, especially with the 1099, is that they're allowed to basically set their own schedule.
Right.
Once you start setting a person's schedule, like you got to come in 9 to 5, that right there, and I'm telling you the easy part. This is nothing that you have to even. I have to put a disclosure as far as being a CPA. The minute you tell someone they have to work a schedule like 10 to 4, 9 to 5, they are now an employee.
Right. And on the IRS website, there is a checklist, and it's the majority. So I think there's 16 or 18 questions, and you just answer those questions yourself. And so Jordan, my best friend, she preps whenever she wants. I just give her the inventory, and the great thing about her is she preps super early because she gets up so early. She gets it done by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I put my numbers in, but I'm not telling her to do it at 8 o'clock. She can do it at any time.
Right.
She has 4 kids, so this really, really works for her. It works for both of us.
Right. And I'm a 1099 actually for the service company Instacart. So they don't set my schedule, but I tell them when I can do it and stuff like that. So the thing is, when you are a 1099, you have to remind people that they need to be setting money to the side for taxes.
Right.
If you're making $500 a week, you better basically be setting 20% to the side to cover your tax liability that's going to come. And that's where a lot of shock could happen, because you could get a tax bill of, a couple $1,000s. So I hope we answered that question for you, Dave. And these are questions that we want people to ask. I think sometimes people get afraid to even start anything because they are worried about. Now, at the level that Jess is selling, she's already said she hit $500,000 this year. In my personal opinion, obviously you would set up a corporation just because even, talk to a CPA because of the great deductions and things that you can do and the pass-through rates as far as being taxed at that level versus a personal level. And that's where they could sitting down with a CPA. I could tell you when I ran a restaurant, my CPA used to cost me around $800 or $900 a year. Now that sounds like a lot, but if they're saving you that in tax savings, it's really not. And it's also part of the cost of doing business and stuff like that. Now, one of the things, Jess, and I see a lot of people ask in the chat. Well, I sold $25,000 worth of stuff on Amazon or eBay. Do I have to pay taxes on that? And obviously the answer is yes. But what happens in your case? You get a K-2 from Amazon, right? A schedule.
Right. I'm talking to my CPA at 2 o'clock. So I outsource all my bookkeeping. I have a CPA because I am not a professional accountant. So all of that stuff I give it to Chris.
You have a professional taking care of that, right?
Yeah, but at this level, because I can't do both, right? I can either do my bookkeeping real good, or I can sell $1 million. And I'm going to focus on what I do best and pay them to do what they do. Right,
I agree. You pay the professionals to do that part. We have a couple more minutes. This is always going to be a 60-minute show because, to be honest, we want people to come back again in the future and provide more information. If you guys are watching the replay, I want you guys to comment what questions you have, what topics we want to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot. I mean, one week maybe we'll just talk about Macari. 1 week Poshmark. Jess mentioned couponing. I mean, who would think that making $30,000?
We paid off $30,000. So it was I was couponing all the time. It was my second job, but after I was, I had 2 kids at the time, and it was my second job because I was already working in corporate. I was couponing. So then I was saving money for our family on all of our stuff, all of our dry goods, basically. And I don't think I bought detergent for 4 years because I had got it for free, and I had a whole stockpile of it, and then selling all of the stuff that I sold on Facebook Marketplace, and then paying off all of our debt.
And you were doing that part-time, you said.
Right. So
Right.
I was doing it, well, I was actually doing it at like 4 o'clock in the morning, depending on the store, because I would get up and do my couponing, and then I would go work out, and then I would get my family up, I get them to school, and then I go work, and then at night was my family time. So it was a lot.
Now, what made you finally decide to give up? You worked for a corporate company, you said?
Yes.
What made you finally, you know?
So you've seen that movie, Office Space? So I had been laid off at the biotech company that I was working for, and then I had gotten a new job in the insurance industry, and there was a request to send a 3 o'clock report via email every single day, and I had developed internal websites. You could literally click a link every day. And they said, can you send this link, or can you send this report to management every day? And I said, here's my badge. Because, at the end of the day, I just was like, no, I can do this myself. I can do it myself. And that's when I took the plunge, because I was just kind of done with corporate. I was just done. And so I took my severance from the place I had been laid off, and then I, started rolling that money into Amazon, and that was the progression. Sometimes you're just done. You just want to change your life.
Yeah, I know for me, and we've talked a little bit, and this is why I was so excited to find you, is to learn, because this is a restart for me. I had health reasons and had to close down a business after close to 20 years. But yeah, I still have a lot of time to work. So wanting to, having the business background and being good with numbers, I said to myself, I could probably do this. It's my problem is just being, I guess I'm spread all over the place.
Right.
And because I'm worried about focusing just on one thing, and for that to fail for me would be probably devastating, where I'm willing to try a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And then if it works, I can expand on that. And I guess, where they call that scaling up on Amazon. I just recently met someone local that is doing very well also on Amazon. And but he doesn't want to do YouTube. He doesn't care about that. He's busy as far as that, and he doesn't want to share some of the secrets that he does but he worked for a company and the same type deal that he just didn't want to do it no more. And when you start talking and young, there are everybody sort of stereotypes that, the younger generation. There are a lot of younger people that are out there hustling and are very smart on knowing how to grind this out as far as doing Amazon.
For sure. And so to that point, Pat, I think that's great that you're doing multiple streams, because we have 11 streams for our family. And I think that's a really good point, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. Learn Amazon, learn eBay, learn Mercari, learn Fiverr. There's all these other service, learn, print on demand, that kind of stuff. And so I think that's a good idea that you're dipping your toe in several different platforms, seeing what works here, because you don't want to put too much risk, right? So that I definitely know that.
What I like about Amazon is once you get the product and you drop it in, if I wanted to go, for example, and that is a goal for me, and I'll talk about more of that stuff in the future, goals and setting goals, is I want to be able to go to Florida in the winter and be a snowbird. I'm up here in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and I'll tell you, sometimes the winters are brutal. It's nothing at times to get 2-3 feet of snow. Right. And for basically almost to be the town to be almost closed down for a week. Yeah, right. You can get out, but the roads aren't the best and stuff like that. And just nothing's happening. Where I live, for me to source products, I need to go out a half an hour or an hour away. So there's not even sourcing opportunities in my backyard. It's not like I can travel 2 miles down the road to. Yeah, there are a couple. There's one or two. Pharmacy places and stuff like that, but not big, items. And those opportunities to where even in Florida, if I wanted to be down there and say, hey, I can ship it to a warehouse because they're telling me where to ship it to, I could still keep working but enjoy the summer and the time down there. So for me, that's a goal. We're gonna let Dave ask this last question, because what streams of income do you have outside of reselling? Real estate, stock market, etc.?
Right. So so Amazon, eBay, Mercari, Poshmark. I'm on Fiverr now. And then I have like my coaching business, affiliate business. We have my husband, right? He still works. And then we have our condo that we have one income property. And then I'm trying to think, if I was at my whiteboard, I would have that 11th. Oh, source.com. So I don't know if you guys have ever even heard of it. I had not heard of it. I had gone a little bit deep in a couple of beauty items. They weren't selling as fast as I had liked. So I actually it's called source.com.
Source.com.
It's mostly for like really big lots of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter. I think the minimum price is like 100, maybe it's 200. I don't know. But source.com. So I sell overstock lots of items on that website too. Mm-hmm. So and then Facebook Marketplace. So I've done quite a bit on that this year. I wish I was in front of my whiteboard. So that's 12 actually. 12. So anyway, but the point is if you have something that's sitting, where else can you sell it? And make sure you have your keywords. And then if you know a service, if you're really good at writing resumes, if you're really good at writing emails, if you're really good at creating Excel spreadsheets, like whatever, are you good at, can you do voiceovers? Those kinds of things. So that's like Fiverr. There's other websites like that. I mean, there's really, I even teach a course with my friend Gabriella about manifesting money for your business. And we give you over 50 ways to manifest money for inventory that are a little bit alternative to, just the basics.
Yeah. And I guess the common theme is you're selling products and you're doing a lot of e-commerce. So right now you're not, did you say you had a condo that you rent out?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that question was because you get people that are in a position where they are making good money, even in a regular job, and they're seeing other people do these opportunities such as Amazon and eBay, and they're wondering, should I get into it or should I invest that money into doing real estate in the stock market? And I think that's probably just a personal decision on as far as what you want to deal with, the headaches of any one thing. Being a landlord myself, I know calling people up to get the rent sometimes, or getting calls in the morning because a light bulb is out. That's more of a personal decision, but those opportunities do exist. I've talked to other resellers where they're kind of stuck at a point where they're making, let's say, $100,000, and they can't seem to scale up anymore. That's when they decide that they have to then do other things that works for them. And that's more of an individual. Me personally, I like those options because, again, as far as real estate is the opportunity for someone else to pay off a property and collect rent. But again, like with anything, there's headaches that come along with that. So,
well, Martin is really great, and she's been with us for 3 years. So,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely think outside the box, especially when you need to manifest income in alternative ways. And like you said, Instacart, DoorDash, all kinds of services that you can provide, especially the more metropolitan you are.
Right.
I will never have a reason to go back to corporate because I will manifest a way not to. Right.
Right. Now, we're gonna. What's going on? We're in the last 2 minutes here, so I want Jess. What are you gonna plug? What's coming up this week? What do you do daily?
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention was the Ecom Q4 Summit. So I'm part of the Ecom Q4 Summit, and it's over 22 speakers. It's a free event next Monday through Wednesday. I'll still be here on Wednesday, but it's virtual. You can literally be on your couch in your pajamas. and getting over 22 hours worth of content. So I can send you my affiliate link for that. It's super, super great. And it's not just Amazon, it's all kinds of platforms. And then, so what are the other things that are going on? I'm always in my Facebook group, Ladies of FBA. You can find me on Facebook page, Ladies of FBA. You can find me on Instagram, obviously, YouTube. This is, I'm building it. So I would love for you guys to subscribe to my channel. So I'm always trying to update, upload different videos and stuff. And so that's what's coming up right now. And then if you are on Amazon and you're looking for Nike shoe ungating, I have resources for that as well. So that's what's going on. I'm excited to, keep going with our weekly, you're welcome, our weekly show, Pat. I'm so excited about it. And just grow the Amazon knowledge here on YouTube.
Right. And like I said, we're going to touch a lot of things as far as trying to help people that are afraid to branch out, wanting to, even if you start, she's not saying to quit your job, right. Even if you want to start out part-time. She talks about how she started out part-time doing coupons. And once she got it to a certain level, she had the ability to quit the job and look, what she's doing now. So my name is Patdees. You could find me every Saturday night at 11 o'clock. I do a late show, and a bunch of the common theme is we have a bunch of resellers, and we talk about what we've done for the week, what we're selling, and sometimes we get into subjects that we didn't even think we're going to get into as far as reselling and finding sources that easily 40 minutes go by because the group of 5 of us that typically are on that show combined have a lot of knowledge. So we just sit around, talk about shop. Now tomorrow night, on Destiny, Shamrock Pixie, she's going to do a Q&A. So people are going to have the ability to come into the room and ask myself, Kimberly, Borderline Hoarder, Destiny, Shamrock Pixie questions. So it's going to be an open Q&A. And then next Thursday, I'm having What the Hells as a guest. They are storage unit buyers, and they have over 100,000 subscribers on their channel. And so they're teaching me the ropes as far as YouTube and the ability to grow it and the potential and stuff like that. So I guess I'm still a sponge. I'm soaking all this in, and learning. And I have a goal for myself in 2 years to basically, instead of maybe doing 5 things, maybe I'm going to only do 3 things to make a living. So that is the goal for myself. I do appreciate everyone that showed up today. I'm sorry a little bit about the confusion. I guess when I set it up, it was set up for 10 o'clock tonight. What's happening with the beta and the classic, it's bouncing back and forth. And so I quickly adjusted it. I do appreciate Jess taking the time to come on the show. And we are going to discuss a lot of different things every week. So you guys will be back here at 10 o'clock East Coast time on Wednesday. I want to thank everyone for showing up.
Thank you so much, Pat.
Thank you. Have a good day.